Hello, and today we're going to be doing a packing for a dungeon night. Now the first thing I like to do is make sure that the surface I'm using is going to be clean. A little bit of alcohol, which I'll need to pick up before tonight because I'm going to want to do some things with alcohol later tonight. So just run alcohol across your surface. Be good about it. This is going to be a BDSM 101. So while it's recorded live, it will be for an evergreen purpose. I'm literally going to show you what I'm doing. Now, it's important to realize that knowing what you're doing is going to help a lot. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to make this a much more sanitized area. So, and really you want to roll it like this onto that. Because when you do this, it'll roll it. This is just parchment paper. It's pretty cheap. You get it. So, what I'm going to do, and a little tip, you just spray it a little on its sides, and then spread it across the top. It will lay on your surface a lot easier. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because we're going to sanitize some stuff. So just getting back from a vacation, we're going to take apart the bag I packed while I was going, because one of the things you got to do is know what you're doing and why you're doing it and what do you need, where you're going next. So what I like to do is to empty the bag, take everything out, so you know what you last packed and you're never assuming. So we're going to take some things out, we'll drop them on my bag, and now I usually leave the bag a little bit packed. We're going to pack two different bags. We're going to pack a scene bag and then a backup bag. And why two different ones is a good question. One is going to be for things I'm planning the scene, and the other are going to be things that I could kind of adjust to in the moment if I needed to. So I take everything out, put it across the table. The bag is empty, and even your bag choice matters. Like, look, I had a thumbtack in here that probably fell from over here. That's why you want to look at things, be careful, don't grab until you know. Now, nothing in my bag is dirty. I'm taking out some things that I don't need. Okay. So now we're going to look at the bag is, well, what do we need to go inside the club? So we're going to designate this the club bag. I don't want to walk in with anything but this. So the first thing I do is I look at everything on the table, and let's go over it. If anything needs to be cleaned again, this would be a good time to clean it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to clean some stuff that need cleaning. Rope in the bag is good. This rope is clean, but it doesn't need to go into the main bag. And the reason it doesn't need to go in the main bag is we're going to pick a color for tonight and use that color for the scene. And that color is right here. So these are going to wind up going in there. Now, I would say a great thing to always have are cuffs in the bag if you're going to play. So pack your cuffs in your backup bag. So I'm going to have two bags in the car. It's going to be my play bag, which I want to be able to know everything's in there. So the rope's good to go. I grab my rope. I'm throwing it in there. So now the rope's in the bag, right? So now what else do I want? Do I want cuffs? Yeah, but I'm going to put this in my backup bag. So that's a backup bag kind of thing. Do I need this rope? No, because we're going for a color rope. This goes in a backup bag. So we're going to throw that over on to my bed. Again, backup bag of rope. So now, all of that will just become a rope bag. This is the teddy bear paddle. Do I want to take this tonight? Yeah, I do. So we put it right back in the bag. I don't have to clean that. That can go with the wet one. One of the things I want to clean, and even though it was clean when I put it in, we're still going to go through the effort of cleaning it, and at the venue tonight, I will clean it more. This is just going to be a quick spray. I'm going to let it air dry while I'm doing the rest. So what I have in here is extra stuff. Nothing I really would want to use tonight, more than likely. Tonight's a specific kind of play. Bondage tape, I don't know. Backup bag, maybe. I'll have to look. I'll have to decide later. We're not, because we're out in public, we're not going to use a ball gag. I don't believe in ball gags in public. It's not a great look. By the way, I can't read your comments because the camera's here today. So if you guys want to have a question, please be patient. I'll get to it at the end, unless we can get someone to jump on and read the comments for me. Now, you got to know your play space, right? So I know my play space. Tonight, I would not want to use handcuffs there. So this is getting taken off the menu for tonight. At least not leg cuffs. It's a darker space. I don't want to have to mess around. We're going to use leather cuffs. Easier to get off. Choice. This is a good object for kind of like belty play. It's got a nice kind of slap to it. It's not very intense, but that'll probably make the cut tonight. These are just compression things. These do not make tonight's cut. So that's all on the side. So now let's add in some of the things we want for tonight. One of the things we're going to want to take tonight, so we're going to want to take the bat. Now the bat, that's a wet one again. Not much you can do. It is fluid bound with my partner. I don't use it on anyone but my partner, so I feel good. Same thing here. This is a porous item. It's like a foam. So the foam is porous, which means things can get in here, and while I use a wet one, I really can't wash it with Dawn or anything. So there is an inherent risk if it's been on the partner. So those are considered fluid-bound toys, which is for my partner tonight, which we're good with. So we got those two. Now, obviously, these can't go in the same bag. I will be using a laundry bag for tonight. So that's exactly what they're going to go into. Laundry bags are pretty good. They're easy to see, which is pretty good. And you can throw your materials in it at the end of the night and just carry them out for dirty clean. Plus you can actually, if I turn the bag inside out, the inside has been cleaned. So this is a clean inside of the bag. If I turn these inside and out while I'm setting up, I can actually put these as a like tablecloth for it if I wanted to. So we're going to put that in here. For those of you who watched me literally make this before I went on my vacation. So this is a crop and a different type of crop. Easily cleaned. We want to have these not get damaged. So these will go here. Now you'll notice right away, I'm putting it on the outside. Why am I putting it on the outside? Because I'm going to kind of wrap this before we go anywhere. So I'll probably use like a spare piece of rope I have somewhere. Now I know the angle I'm going to go. We're going to go upside down and try for well, we're going to try for some stuff. If you know, you know. The things on the table should explain it all. We're going to a place that I have asked permission already. We will talk to the DMs. Ooh, we have someone who's willing to jump on. Audience, we're going to welcome in Debbie.
Oh my God, I can go live.
Congratulations. Welcome to it.
I thought I would try it. So somebody had told me that you just have to wait for your account for a certain amount of days and then you could go live.
Okay, so we have that answer too. How are you? And introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, I'm Debbie.
You might know the voice. If you do, just trust it and hit the follow.
Yeah, and please don't mention. If you know, you know. It's on the secret DL.
So as you see, building a little bit of stuff for tonight.
Yeah, I was asking, are you getting ready for play tonight, or are you just like showing demonstration to clean?
No outdoor play. So it's not in my house. It's not in my controlled environment.
Okay.
So the way I put things together are very different, especially when it comes to like the green bag. I wouldn't bother with the green bag at home, but this can become a good bag for like laundry at the end of it because I can put in the materials that I can wet one with, and it gives a quicker cleanup because one of the hardest things you have when you're out and about, you just had a scene, now you want to comfort your partner, you got to do a little bit of cleanup. So I like the bags, it grabs a lot of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I see you got like your whole setup in the back there too. Are you doing like a demo by any chance?
No, not. This is just to show you guys on TikTok. Normally,
Ah.
I wouldn't have a table. I would put out like a smaller dinner TV table to do the sanitizing as we're talking.
Mm.
But right now, this is kind of the deal. And it's hard, and I'm going to say it right now. You're going to an event, and you want to have some fun. But how much do you actually want to take? Like, what's the point you're trying to prove? So, really, especially if you're the one creating the scene, you have to be aware of the scene you want to create. Talk to your partner, especially if it's public. I don't care how long you've been together, public changes the dynamic. You should
Mhm.
have the conversation about what you want and what's the backup play. 'Cause what if you're going there and in my case, we're trying to do stuff?
Mhm.
We've gotten permission to do stuff, but what if we get there and someone suddenly decides that stuff isn't allowed tonight because someone complained? Which can happen because not everyone is into stuff. So, and these are now retired curry combs because unfortunately during all the cleaning they started to get rust. If you guys start to get any rust, and I clean this really well to get rid of the rust, and remember I told you we had this conversation, the difference between alcohol and hydrogen peroxide?
Yeah.
This is when I started using hydrogen peroxide. So hydrogen peroxide actually has an effect on,
Like a corrosive effect.
yeah. I'm
So
not very,
can you use like some kind of sealant on that?
for the cost that these are, it's not worth putting another chemical that can go into a human body.
Okay.
I throw things out before I care. I'll cut ropes like there's no tomorrow. I don't care. Like the human is always more important. And one of the handles are actually broken. That
No.
shows you that also there was other things involved. But yeah, so this is kind of the setup. And now what I do is I like to look at it. Like most of my stuff is dry, and you'll notice I keep going back to the thing and I'm cleaning my hand because your hands have to stay clean while you're packing. And I'm going to do this when I unpack because I'm not in a controlled environment. Before I play, most times, I even Swiffer my floor with antibacterial stuff because sometimes you wind up on the floor. If I got to explain that to you, this is the wrong channel for you. Here's the reality. What's up? You there?
Yeah, me. Are you talking to me or someone else?
No, you. Sorry, the whole
Oh,
time.
no, I'm listening to you. I don't like to interfere when you're talking in case like, you're saying something that somebody needs to hear.
They need to hear it all. But
That's why I usually am quiet.
I appreciate that. But what are your thoughts while I'm doing this? And if you could read any of the comments, I'd appreciate that so much.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I really do agree with you. So I actually had a play session with a new partner yesterday who I really, really thoroughly enjoyed, and we actually had this conversation, like kind of like what you're talking about, and yeah, it's very ritualistic. Like he cleaned everything in front of me, laid it out on the towel, like he wore gloves and everything to do it, just to be extra careful. I think, like cleanliness as well is also when we're talking about like different impact. Can I say toys on here?
Yeah, toys are fine.
Okay.
Just stay away from the Sharpie names of those things.
Yes, gotcha. Like the simpler they are, the better that they can be cleaned versus if they have like a lot of components, like especially ones like if you have to break them down or they've got screws or something, you got to think about all that those areas that can now has to be cleaned as well.
Absolutely. Now you'll notice I'm taking my carabinas. I always say that wrong. I think the carabina, and I clean them too. There's no excuse not to clean your metal stuff because it's not that you're worried about this coming in contact with any human. It's the fact that you're worried about this having dirt. Now look, this one's already got some rust starting. That's problematic now. This one, perfectly fine, no rust. Now this has always been on my bag for the outside, so it has nothing to do with kink play. So I'll just throw that back on there, it doesn't matter. That's for me to do the luggage and I'll just clean it. When I want to put it near a human being because it can transfer, I'm super careful, and what you're hearing is me going to look for the big one. And then I've got one on this one. So, quick clean with these guys could save you touching something that you didn't realize was on something and giving someone an infection if you're going to have anything that might be considered an open wound.
Yeah.
Even rope abrasions can lead to problems. So be careful. So cuffs, the way to clean those, I would just do a wet one. Unless you got the furry inside. That is a little more, you kind of, I guess you could use a wet one, but you got to stick it in the sun immediately. You have to make sure it's going to dry. Because you don't want mold starting on the inside of your cuffs.
So I have a question for you. How do you feel about how to clean the non-synthetic um, toys like leather, bamboo, more of like those kind of raw natural materials?
Now, I'm not an expert in leather. I'm not an expert in bamboo. You're talking about porous versus non-porous, right? The ones that have.
Yes, yeah, and just because me, like, different people have different aesthetics when it comes to like impact toys. Like me, initially, I was very much like non-synthetic, like have it as raw as possible. But now I'm like, I see the practicalities of using non-synthetic canes versus like using yeah, that's pretty. But even like with floggers, you can now get with the pleather versus like leather, which is easier to maintain and doesn't dry out because these natural toys, they you have to maintain them. You gotta a lot of times, you can't use certain things like you mentioned before because it's coming in contact with skin. Um, so that's why I just wanted to ask you like what your thoughts was on that.
Everyone's got something different. Bamboo. Not bam. I think I'm saying it right. That you want to be. I believe that's washable. To be honest, you're talking about rope, or because there's a rope and then there's a stick.
Yeah, all the above. Like I'm just talking about like the synthetic material versus non-synthetic material.
Non-synthetic, you're always going to look for more natural ways to do something. Perfect example, naturally letting this dry on here. That's a better way for non-synthetic, while synthetic and plastic like this is not real stuff. That's like Spencer. And why do I take that with me to play in public? Because if I lose it, I don't care. I won't even be bothered. I'll replace these in 5 minutes. They're $20. Don't care. These, wet one, right? Even this is a cheaper version of an Amazon thing. Wet one. I'm done. The big product I brought out just a minute ago, I don't know if I can say this. Can I? I don't know if they know this one specifically for BDSM, and TikTok's been weird lately. We'll just call it flogger. I don't think flogger's a bad one. The floggers, that's leather. You're supposed to use a leather care agent with that. So we want to put leather cleaner on it. A lot of the leather cleaners nowadays, it's like almost like a pledge leather.
Yeah, the chat's mentioned saddle soap, which yeah, I've used saddle soap. And I agree with Baby Shmi. I don't know if I'm saying that name right. I've always had like with anything that's natural to after you have like cleaned it to have it aerate or sit in the sun for a couple of hours.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a non-porous thing, like everything you saw was if it's a porous thing, a non-porous thing, like the things I just showed, you can put away right away once it's dry. Spray a little alcohol, you're done. Clearly, hydrogen peroxide has an effect not on stainless steel, but on some steels. So be mindful of that. But yeah, no, make it air dry, especially if you're in a place like Florida, California, Arizona. Just go put it in your car in your back seat and just put it laying on something clean. Like I told everyone, get parchment paper. So great for toys.
Mm.
It doesn't stick to it. It's got a non-stick thing to it. The alcohol, as you guys can see, stays here, but it's drying off of it. Now these are clean. Now I can feel they're still a little dirty because they got alcohol on it. I just washed my hands with it too. I'm not touching anything dirty. By the way, get in the habit of carrying gloves with you at all times when you're playing with people. It is one of the best things. First aid kit too, if you need it. I carry alcohol, which is like by itself basically most of the first aid kit you need. If you have alcohol and clean enough paper towels, you're good for most things. You might have to stop at like a Walgreens if you punctured something, and it's, of course, get medical help if you need medical help. Never. If you don't think you can get something to stop or it doesn't look healthy and it looks like it's broken, go talk to a doctor. Don't play what was it? Oh, Doogie Howser. Don't play Doogie Howser. I'm trying to see. One of the things I do with some of my extra stuff, because I'll just leave it in the trunk, is I'll throw it in a paper bag. Paper bags are great because paper itself absorbs things and it's problematic. Plastic can harbor things, and you can actually rip off microplastics. So try to get paper bags if you can to carry extras. And a little trick for you guys. When I do this, I go to the store, I double up my paper bags. Only the kids of the 90s, 80s, and before can the double bagging. But it also is good because I put all the stuff I bought at the store in here. Paper is generally sanitary. It's a natural thing until it's not. So if you pull out the bag I put everything in, this bag is not dirty. There's nothing wrong with it. So I pulled the bottom bag out. I'm going to throw in all the extras we had, which will be a bag of ropes and stuff.
That's actually smart.
Yeah. Because I always think, plastic, I used to use plastic like everyone else a lot. Then I found out about microplastics. And I don't like the fact that there are so much microplastics in human beings that we now could float. I'm kidding, but it's serious that we're ingesting it. And it is actually now in our hearts. It's in our DNA that we spread to everything. So, again, if you're going to a club, leave the gag at home. Even if it's your partner that you're used to playing with, it's never good because most clubs try to play the music too loud.
That's a very good point.
You're going to someone else's house. Do not trust that they play by the same rules you do.
Have you played or used wicked sticks or evil sticks?
You're talking like a stitch, right?
It's the best way I can describe it is that it is a tiny cane. Did you make that yourself?
Yeah, well, so pervertibles are a big thing, and it's fun. You make these things. So I made the one up there. Let me see if this is actually, I don't think it's turned up to that. So up here, I made this. We made it for fun. I've made a few over the years. It says Brat Tamer. And I got in trouble on TikTok because they're like, oh my God, you didn't finish it. What if the person gets a splinter? And it's funny because me and my partner, when I made that, we talked about the splinter. I'm like, this could cause a splinter. Would you want me to finish it? Because we did it together in a class. It was actually Pervertibles class. So my partner's like, no, you just have to take it out. And if you take it out, you have to use that sharp thing to dig it out. So it almost became kind of funny. So when people on TikTok got all mad and they're like, what about the human stuff that gets on it? I'm like, well, first off, it's fluid bound to my partner.
Hmm.
It's made for my partner. And if I did another one, it would be for that partner because I understand it. Second, I'm like, the real thing that what you're worried about, and I thought they were talking about leakage of plasma if you keep up with what I'm saying. I was like, that's the fluid bond thing, and you spray some alcohol on it and you kill most of the bacteria, and it's fine. It's wood. You know, you guys
Hmm.
put wood in your mouth when you're eating and you don't even think about it. I was like,
Yeah.
it's not as big deal as you did. And then I swear to you, and I got in so much trouble for this, I couldn't stop laughing. The person turned around and said, what about sweat? And I was like, I'm sorry, does your ass sweat that much that this is a concern? And I got in so much trouble. People were like, I can't
I
believe
could
it.
imagine like maybe inner thighs. I could see inner thighs, maybe, you know. But yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, look, I didn't mean to make fun of how much they sweat, but like, that's not a concern. And the reason I'm laughing so hard, and because I made a couple videos about this, I was like, let me be blunt. My partner's sweating on me while I'm playing. I don't know how the rest of you play, but sweat is not abnormal in play.
Hmm.
It is something that if you're not accepting your partner to sweat on you and the things you're using on them, you either live in Alaska or you're not playing hard. And your safe word is beige. I'm tired and want to go to bed.
Well, going back to the to wooden paddles or even wooden toys, you know, it's because obviously there's a lot of discussions around it. Um, I frighteningly had a conversation with somebody who I thought was actually like really knowledgeable about this stuff. We're talking about the treated wood versus untreated wood. Now, I always was under the understanding that you don't use treated wood because it's basically it can be harmful. If in the case there is like any abrasions or there's any you know, breaking of the skin, that it could potentially be harmful. And I also do know, like from being a chef, that there's certain wood products that you don't use as a wooden chopping block for the same reason. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, most people are going to use a basic varnish to finish a toy, like a finishing thing. What most people don't realize is that even when I bought this from Michaels, it was already finished. It's coated. They give it a basic coating so when it goes on the shelves, it doesn't warp. This one, because it was when I snuck in here for just in cases. This one, so this is a little more wood. It's pressed wood. More than likely, I think this is pressed wood. You can see the different pieces of the wood. During that process, these are exposed to so much heat that you're killing most things. But what you're talking about with the chemical additive, it's a hard one. You want to know the truth? I don't know what they're putting in our food. I don't know what they're giving us
Exactly.
and saying is safe. Some of this shit could be horrible. They just said that we could start using asbestos again. And I remember growing up in the 80s, 90s, and they were like, oh, stop using asbestos. They closed the elementary school near me for 2 months because of the asbestos levels. And yes, I know everyone's like, oh, it makes sense now, Rob.
Yeah, and the like the reason that he was saying, which I don't disagree, is that he's like, you know, if you're doing like outdoor play, you know, that kind of stuff, you can't take untreated wood outdoors because it then can be contaminated, and now the same thing is happening. Now you potentially could have harm that could potentially be harmful. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not fully sold on treated wood as being used for play, even if you're trying to play outside. I don't think that that should be, in my opinion, I don't think that's a good reason to use treated wood as a potential impact toy.
I'll say this though, we have a lot of dressers at home, right? We have a lot of woodworking stuff. Most of these stains are the basic stains that we're touching every day, our chairs, all that. I wouldn't be too concerned if you're not mixing it with what I'm trying to mix it with tonight, if you get what I'm saying.
Hmm.
If you're staying surface level, your skin will absorb it without a problem. I would run alcohol down it. Now, one of the reasons I would run alcohol, and this is probably to your point, if I spray alcohol on it and I put my hand on it, I can get texture of it off. In other words, it didn't seal right, or it's a cheaper version. There's your danger. But I can take this right now, touch this, and it's never going to get tacky. It drops. That's okay. That stain is perfectly fine because that stain doesn't come off on my hand. No stickiness. I have had other things like the thing behind you, dressers. I've had dressers in the past where alcohol is poured on it and I put my hand down to clean it and I suddenly noticed that the wood, some of the stuff came off on me. That's bad. So you do have a good point. It is really a circumstance of what are your risk profiles, you know? Like if you really don't want it. And I mean, how often are we allowed to play outside? I know me.
Well, that's the other thing too. So it's like if it's really just because you play outside, like that just seems to me like really redundant. So
yeah, if I gotta have it treated to go outside, 90% of what we do, we can't do outside for long. Now, if you can't do it for long, maybe put up a shed, maybe put up like an awning. Like, what are we really worried about? Because the human body's exposed to everything outside. You can't stop that from being exposed. How many pictures have you seen on the good old FetLife where someone is being gagged by a stick right off the ground?
yeah.
And then for everyone who said, ew, how many of you put a stick for a marshmallow? Just stuck that stick right in the marshmallow.
So there's some comments here in the chat. So Birdie has some questions regarding with electro. So they were asking, is electro like shock or like muscle stim? Which there was mentions about the pens and the wand. Do you want to add anything to that?
Electro can be anything electric nowadays. I'm sure at one point electro did stand for electrodes, so it would have been more of one of the ones that you would like a TENS unit. So it would have been direct as opposed to indirect. Indirect, of course, I always get these two backwards, but I'm pretty sure direct is touching, and indirect is when it is being done. So direct is touch. So like when I hit you.
Yep, and indirect you can create like a circuit.
Yes. So the TENS units are an indirect because they use electrodes, but then you could argue, and this is where the whole thing gets messy, because people with violent wands, you can reverse the thing. You can put the body cable on a person, and then it's really kind of like electroplate too. I just think everyone thinks it's electric. As far as electric, you should not use a cattle prod. A cattle prod can cause serious injury. It could cause a heart attack, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's too much of a shock. Yeah.
If you're gonna and taser guns, don't be an idiot. I don't care that all the cops shoot each other. What they don't tell you is how often they all go through that training to feel how it gets tased and how many of them wind up in hospital with a heart condition and suddenly go out on disability. As a matter of fact, I think most precincts no longer do it because of the fact that people actually developed issues because you're shooting someone with a lot of power. And the whole reason we don't hear about it more is because the police don't want to give up another toy. And in fairness, I'd rather get shocked or someone I know get shocked than shot. Shot is kind of permanent sometimes.
Now, let me ask you this. Are you a believer that electroplay should be waist below only, or do you feel like certain other parts, like neck below only?
Well, considering most of the electric toys that we play with now, a lot of it was designed for beauty that deliberately was used on the face to begin with, the Tesla coil. If you turn it down, you stay away from the eyes, you stay away from the, stay away from eyes, stay away from ears, stay away from nose, stay away from mouth, because of all the
I would say even along the spine, stay away from along the spine.
No, spine's fine. I from the back injury, they used to put electrodes on my back all the time, right near the spine. Doesn't interfere with it. There's not enough nerve, like that power they're using now. Of course, if you're using uncertified products that produce a voltage that's too high, that is dangerous. But if we're talking TENS unit or most of the modern day violent wands, you don't have an issue. It's the people who use the cattle prod on the spine that you're worried about. That's where you get interference. I know what you're talking about, it's the electrical stuff, but right here it doesn't matter. To your credit, though, the base of the neck right here is very dangerous. That will interfere.
We can't see you. Sorry, you're just a little off screen.
Okay, right here. So right here, this would be dangerous.
Yeah.
There's too much going on. But when you start getting over here, it's less and less. Now, I wouldn't put electrodes or continuously pump the spine itself, but like next to it, you're okay. It's all right. Because you'll do that with the electrodes from the pads that they use. But don't concentrate on the spine. I'd even avoid the spine. I would stick with Devi's saying. It's Devi, right?
Yeah.
Devi's got it right. You want to kind of, even though it sounds cool, even if you could, like, I won't do it on someone's face. I know people who do it on people's faces. I would not. I know there are people who want to kiss each other while the body cable's in so they both get shocked. To each their own.
So, I mean, I think, I don't know if you remember, but electroplay was something I hadn't done before, but that I have been very much interested in. And I got to play with it a little bit yesterday, and it was completely not what I was expecting. So it was actually like on the low frequencies, was actually really like relaxing.
Yeah. But it sounds scary, doesn't it?
It really does. And Birdie, yeah, so the muscle, so the tens is a muscle stem. So like you have like with what I was introduced to yesterday, and I've seen people play with the violet wand, which I think is absolutely stunning and beautiful. But what my understanding is with the violet wand is that there's actually a gas inside. So you have to make sure that you're playing like in an open area where there's airflow going on. Otherwise, that could cause like that could cause like a buildup in electricity in the air, and that is dangerous. I've seen it where people will sit on a mat, or they'll hold something as a conductor. What you really have to be careful of is making sure that you're using some kind of conductive gel. Tens, I think, is like probably the safest because A, it's medical. B, like they have all inclusive. It's all inclusive. So you can get like the pads that already have the conductive gel on that has the electrodes that you can just stick on. And they've got like different frequencies, different intensities. And then it's for me, it was really fun. Not what I was anticipating at all. So like the muscle stems are probably what people have talked about or will have talked about the most when they're talking about electro play. Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yes, but I'd also say, so this is a tens pad. This is what will go on your back. It's just connected to this. This is a 9-volt battery. Most people in the private sector have this. Some people have the more professional grade one, but even those have safety things as long as not released. They're not bad. You're right about the gas, but the gas is actually in here, and it's what causes the colors. The reason you have the smell of the ozone layer is just because this is actually, the coil itself does cause a little bit of tearing in the ozone layer. It's what gives it that glow and that stuff. Believe it or not, if you're using metal with metal, you don't smell the ozone. I've never used conductive gel before. I don't think you have to. It's never been an issue. It was never taught to.
So somebody said the same thing to me. So I actually got a electro vibe wand, and when I got it, I was highly advised to buy a conductive gel. And I will say, when I tested it out on myself, it made a significant difference.
Yeah, it made it more intense, right?
That, but also like the way that it kind of fuzzed, like, you know, when you get that tingly feel, like where it didn't feel as so much of like electronic versus like where it's like, or electric, where it's like concentrating one area, that it kind of helped disperse it a little bit too. So it wouldn't be so much like when I did it on my bare skin, it was like a zap, it was like an ouch, like that was like, ooh, you know, versus like where it would go kind of all over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so like even with metal, just this metal here, this thing, this is going to hurt a lot because you're concentrating it. While when you use an electrode like this, the electricity gets broken up and it goes through different areas. There's going to be less intensity. The gels are interesting, but it all depends what you're looking for. If you're a sadist, the gel is going to get in your way and it's a number. Basically, the gel, while conductive, it also spreads. You nailed it perfectly with your definition of it. So if I put some gel in my hand and I zapped, it would spread it. So think of a lightning bolt hitting your hand and spreading out the lightning versus it just staying here and hurting me. So the gels can be fun. I'm not saying don't use them. I'm just saying I don't think they necessarily have to.
Necessarily, okay.
Yeah, because I've never used it and everyone's survived. This is the body cable. So the body cable, you kind of, I'm trying to see if I'm in frame. You kind of stick it right on your side here, and now you're electrified. So I have titanium back rods right here. I can't have that on my body. Playing with electricity is a huge risk with me, actually, just from jump. Because of those things, I take the risk. I'm fine with it. I felt the shock there once already because I play on high sometimes, and it came back to me. So there are risks. You have to be careful. One of the things to mitigate the risks, which is important, are checking out the outlet. So I have a two-step system. Before I plug anything in that I don't know, I do this. So this is a tester. And I actually, let's see. I can probably show you guys so we don't have to get crazy with this. I'll get an extension cord. I had one out. And I'll show you guys what this looks like.
While you're getting that, Lady Letty just came in as well.
Hold on right there. What happened with Lady Letty? What happened with Lady Letty?
Yeah.
No, what happened? I didn't hear you.
Oh no, she was just came in. She said, "Hey," and then she was just talking about that the TENS unit that great for sciatica, which I wish that when I did have sciatica, like when I worked in the kitchen, I wish I had a TENS unit back then because it would have been made a world of difference.
Oh, it's so true. That's why I have it. That's not for play, my TENS unit. That's for my back.
Yeah.
So you see the two orange?
Yeah.
Here you'll see that's exactly what you want, and it'll describe. So if we had a red, that could be that we'd have backlash. So if the red showed up on this, that means I could electrify my partner. So if you're going to play right. If you're getting all nothing, if nothing goes on, you have a dead circuit. It's not on. Or it's
That's
open.
really interesting. Where can you get something? Can you just get that at a hardware store?
Lowe's, Home Depot.
Okay.
It's really nothing special. It is a circuit tester. It's really that simple. And before I plug anything in that I'm going to be playing with electricity, if I'm not already on a surge protector, because a lot of times when we're out, you can't be. Here you go. Now you can press the test button. I warn you, in some places, you're going to need to know where the circuit breaker is after that. Because you're going to... It shouldn't, but you could. And I did that at a dungeon one time. So I just do this, and I put this in here. And then the way I test it is I stick in. That's why I have two of them. I'm good. So that shows me I'm good. I'm working, right? And this stops any shock, any sudden voltage thing. Now, I have two wands. One of them is a little older, and it's not shocking the right way anymore. So when I play with that one, I have to warn my partner, it does suddenly shoot up in intensity on its own.
But if you said she's a masochist, so she probably likes that.
Well, you'd be surprised. Sometimes when it suddenly hits you out of no, because you'll be in the middle of like very, very nice. Like as masochist as someone is, there's always that breaking point of a masochist. Have you ever read 1984?
Say that again?
You ever read 1984?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite books.
The end of the book. That's what most people don't want. That's not BDSM to them.
Yeah, fair.
That's something different.
That's something very different.
And they're not looking for 1984. They're happy with 2025.
So I have a question for the Violet Wand. Like the different attachments that you have there, how frequently do you have to replace them?
When you break them. I've had, some of those are 20 years old.
And are they pretty sturdy? Like the glass looks so thin. Like do you as long as you just keep being careful with it, then they won't break, or are they easy to break?
If you drop them, certainly easy to break. Like these break really easily when dropped. I actually am missing 3 now. And I don't do Violent Wand a lot. Violent Wand is kind of like a mood setting. It's never been something I was like. This is not something I would call like a compeller to me. This is a kink to me. This is fun when I'm in the mood and I want to negotiate and have that. And it's fun more so, I think, like if you want to play at night in your house and you want to turn all the lights off.
It is very pretty. Yeah.
What I'm talking about. So we're going to let this warm up. So before you use the Violent Wand, we test. Even though I just tested, you never know what could happen. So then we put this in. Now this is a shock buster, same thing, Home Depot. So we're on. So you want to warm it up. So what you do is you put it in, and we're going to do this. And you just want it to make a sound. There we go. And now we're going to let that warm up. We're going to give it a couple minutes. And the reason we're letting it warm up, and I'll turn off the light, is you'll start to see color come to life in it. And
yeah, you can start seeing building up. So is that the gas that's now starting to build up?
Exactly. And there are 4 different gases that are used. One is purple, one is blue, one is yellow, one is red. Rayon, and I'd have to look the other ones up. I'm just not good with names. None of them are inherently, like if it breaks in front of you, you don't got to grab your face. You're not going to die. You would have to sniff all of them to have a body, a real problem. They're not that dangerous. I mean, you really shouldn't do it daily, obviously. But then here you go.
So you just changed it to red, or is that still purple? It's hard to
It's always
see.
going to be its color. And then, I don't know if it's dark enough for you guys to see, but it'll arch. Can you see that?
You can see, yeah, you can very, just at the tip of your finger.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it. That's really cool.
So this is, and it's not dark enough yet. One night we'll do this when it's like nighttime and I can really close the lights and like you'll see it. We did it like a year ago, so.
Yeah, Lilith, it is really pretty. That was the first thing that I saw with electro play. I didn't participate when it was with the Violet Wand, and it was really, really pretty.
See that?
Yeah. Now I think they use that for hair, like for the hairline, or to stimulate the growth of hair, similar like that, like raking tool.
That was actually the invention. The reason of the invention for it was health purposes. Tesla, I think just made it to prove electricity. He was trying to show things with electricity, and this was a visual representation. But, you know, people saw something and decided, this will cure your hair loss. So, no one wants to. Let me tell you, there are times I'm filming videos, I see my hair parted a certain way, and I get the nervous sweats. I'm starting to look at my hair. Do you ever notice me playing with my hair suddenly?
Yeah.
Seen an angle I didn't like, and I'm terrified of what it can be. So I'm suddenly trying to change it and be like, oh my God, I don't want to go bald. I'm too pretty.
I'm too pretty.
I'm too pretty for this. This is a prison I can't live in. So, but yeah, that's it. So now the bag is packed. I have my implements. I have a smaller version of this that I carry with me that goes in the bag. I have all the things I need, including my safety shears, which I know are out right away. Pull out. I'll add a couple cuffs on the way out. But this is it. This is how we play, you know? And again, you saw it. Break it down, clean it out. Before you go play with someone, it's your job to re-clean the bag. Even if, and I'll come home, I'll bring the bag in, and I don't think you even saw me doing that, but I was zipping up the bag. So this is my extra stuff. This is the just in case stuff. This is the stuff I leave in the car. So this is if we have to make a change. I go out to the car and I rearrange things. Now, leaving your partner alone, especially if they're attractive, in a BDSM environment can be trying. So try to leave them with your friends or take them with you, because they will be swamped with the guys, especially if you're ever going to go to something that inhabits swingers as well. That is problematic for certain. So do we have any more questions before I sign off for the night?
I didn't see any more in there, but yeah, if anybody else has any more questions.
Actually, I'll probably just swing this around to see me. Now that we've done this, take a quick break. I'm giving myself a like, and I don't mean to.
I see that. That's hilarious.
That is not what I wanted. I wanted to swap the camera around. I always forget. I don't touch my settings very often, so I don't really. Because when you're off screen, if you double tap it, you can change the way the camera is. So here we go, flip camera. I had it for a second.
Yep.
But
Yeah, you did. There you go.
But yeah, that's it. And this is how you get ready. And now if you're like me, you're already winded and tired and sweaty. You're like, I didn't even start playing. Just
So is this like a private party that you're doing or that you're at, or is
it's a one that is advertised on the Fete of Life, and we're being invited back to take a look at it because we've had issues with it in the past. So I'm a little nervous, honestly. It's a lot of the places down here are, they're not the cleanest in the world. Florida is famous for bugs, and I think the bugs inhabit the place spaces way too much. They're darker, they're louder, and there's two different types of BDSM clubs, and I think everyone who's been around long enough know this. There's the BDSM club that's serious about BDSM. They have the DMs, and I don't mean dungeon masters, dungeon masters. They have, music playing, but it's not very loud. There's darkness, but the play spaces themselves are lit appropriately so you can see. And then there are the others, which are loud, advertised to be something it's not. You don't really have play space. You lift your arm back, you hit someone when they get too close, and now if you're like me, you don't say sorry, you actually hit them on purpose because they got too close and you're giving them a warning.
which should be also notated as like a kind of like an etiquette thing. Make sure like the helicopter rules in effect. Remember back in the day, make sure your personal space, you're not walking into somebody's play space, and that could be pretty extensive.
Like I will hit you with my flogger. Like, be assured, if I'm swinging a bag, I'll take your head out and still hit my target.
Well, you shouldn't have to be, your focus is on your partner. You have to be focused on them. You can't be looking all around because then you're missing possible cues of your partner. And that's where the focus should be.
And that's why we need light. And that's why we need to be able to hear. How can you have a DM in a place that's banging loud that's going to be able to hear when someone calls red?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have played with gags in my partner's mouth, but I do a lot of check-ins. I'm the guy who famously puts consent first and does not believe that, I don't know, what term is that? Assumed consent is okay? Active consent? No, I believe...
Passive, I
believe in consent.
Yeah.
Informed
consent. Yeah, exactly. And which is the key point. And I know that we talked about that before too. And I completely agree. Informed consent. Oh, sorry. Informed consent above everything else, 100%. I don't want to rehash everything.
I don't want to get outed again. They'll hear about it.
No, and that is just terrible. That's just the whole thing. Very disappointing too, by the way. And I'm sorry that you had to experience that. That was balloon skis.
Yeah, but I mean, it ain't gonna stop me. Like, if their goal was to stop me, it didn't. All it did was show who they are. But they'll never hold accountability. They'll all stay back and talk their little shit, but they ain't gonna come close to me. And it's funny because I'll have people send me someone, and they'll be like, "Oh, this is a great educator," and I can't see them, and I'm like, "Well, they blocked me." Because if I block someone, it tells me I blocked the person and asks if I want to unblock them on TikTok. So they'll send me something and I'll be like, well, they have me blocked. I don't know who this is. I'll find out, because I have a couple accounts on here because I do different things for different things, and I'll go look it up. And sure enough, it'll be some asshole who wanted to do things, because TikTok's a popularity contest. We don't keep that in mind on this channel or any of the channels I run, but it's a popularity contest, and I don't want to be popular. I want to help people live in this lifestyle and feel seen and wanted in here. So
well, I think that you do a good job with that. Sometimes when you're doing the advocate / educational part of it, it becomes redundant, but you have to keep saying things over and over and over again, because there's certain things that just don't deviate. And that's when we're talking about the pillars and stuff like that. Those are things like, how many people actually know what the pillars are, you know?
Pillars also have a problematic past, too.
Sure,
So you
sure.
gotta, and yet you need someone who can teach all of that, like pillar, because the pillars would. And I don't have a lot more time. I do have to get going, but some of the problems with the pillars are respect. But what does respect look like for everyone? We
Exactly.
keep doing this. We keep getting in our own way instead of making it consent,
Yeah.
negotiation, communication. Diaper. Did I ask permission? Extensive representation. Prick and rack really are just about who gets in trouble.
Yeah, so I would say like, if you're doing the same, if you're looking at this, the SSC portion of it, I think that's like for kink play, yes. If you're looking at more of like the harder impact stuff or like the harder play in it, then I think rack kind of then takes like is like you're then saying there's a risk factor here. So it's not just like, I'm patting you on the behind or, whatever. This is a risk factor. What are the risk profiles? Does that make sense?
Oh, I believe in it when it's adopted correctly.
If it's adopted correctly, yes.
When you throw it on a submissive, I use rack and prick. What does that mean? It's for you to go figure out what I'm about to do to you.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes toxic and red flag. It's
Yeah.
not the term that's the problem. It's how the term is used. And I'll put it this way, pleasure dom. Pleasure dom, if it had never been used ickily, we probably would have never talked about it. It probably would have never gained traction. It probably would have gone away on its own. But book talkers out there talking about how I'm a pleasure dom, and I say all the time, I don't know what you're talking about, but I don't gotta say pleasure dom to give my submissive pleasure. I don't need that.
I would have taught because I love sensation play. So if you say me as a masochist, and a bottom and a service bottom on top of that, you say pleasure dom. I'm thinking of elsewhere. I'm not thinking specifically like schmexual. You know what I'm saying? So verbiage is important. Verbiage is important to be able to differentiate so that way there's an understanding of that there's everybody's on the same page of what the understanding is, because that's where the informed/consent comes into. There has to be a fundamental understanding of what is the baseline.
Yep, you gotta show us in vocabulary. I do gotta go. I appreciate Debbie and welcome them to finally being on our lives. I want to remind everyone that submission isn't a gift. As a matter of fact, submission is something that is earned through communication, negotiation, and only achieved with actually consent. The only consent we have, informed, consent. I thank you all for being part of today. Debbie, welcome to being able to go live again. I thank you all for joining me tonight. I got to go play. You saw me pack. It's time to go.
Have fun.
See you all on the other side of it. Maybe I'll have a story or two to share.